Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
Day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight from Washington, the president set to speak to the nation. Also, Savannah Guthrie's new and heart-wrenching message, revealing $1 million reward now. And we're tracking these two new storms now coming this week. After this record blizzard, already more than 3 feet of snow in parts of the Northeast. Millions digging out tonight. Snow-covered streets, cars buried. Heart out their own $1 million reward in the search for Nancy Guthrie.
We need to know where she is. We need her to come home.
Savannah Guthrie tonight acknowledging her mother, quote, may be lost. She may already be gone. What they're hoping will now happen with this new reward. Tonight, the Americans who were trapped in Mexico, tourists describing moments of terror, cartel members pulling people out of cars, setting those cars on fire, Americans in their rental car told to get out. And just in tonight, what we're now learning about an American Airlines flight apparently shot at while trying to land in Colombia. Just a short time from now, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress and to the American people. Tonight, the president expected to talk about the issues including the economy and affordability and who he's inviting into the chamber. Tonight, hear the disturbing scene unfolding outside Seattle. 4 people killed in a deadly stabbing rampage outside a home. Tonight, 2 deputies shot and killed, 2 deputies wounded. The traffic stop, then the manhunt, and then a deadly shootout. The images coming in of cars slamming into pedestrians in Los Angeles. Also alarming images showing a man running onto a runway at a major airport. Tonight, heartbreaking news for actor Martin Short. His daughter has been found dead in her home. The maker of 2 popular diabetes and weight loss drugs tonight cutting costs by up to 50%. And the viral star Punch the Monkey, abandoned by his mother, shunned by other monkeys. What's happened now?
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir. Reporting tonight from our nation's capital.
Good evening from the nation's capital tonight, where President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to the nation. We will carry it live, of course, 9 p.m.
Hello, you're watching Sky News. I'm Nick Creation. Here are the headlines. 1. Donald Trump prepares to give his State of the Union address to Congress, whilst violence of Jeffrey Epstein will also be there. The arrest of Peter Mandelson was prompted by a baseless suggestion that he intended to flee the country, his lawyers have said. The government is to release all files related to Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's appointment as UK trade envoy after a vote in Parliament. Also, 4 years of war, hundreds of thousands dead, and as many as 2 million injured. But Ukraine's President Zelensky says Russia has not broken. And the miracle of life, we hear from the first mother in the UK to give birth after receiving a womb from a donor who died. Hello, happy company on this Wednesday morning. Well, as it approaches Tuesday evening in the States, Donald Trump is preparing to deliver his State of the Union address, where he's expected to champion what he feels are his accomplishments in his first year of office. In the room will be more than a dozen survivors of Jeffrey Epstein who have been invited by Democratic members of Congress. They want to know why ambassadors and princes are being arrested here in the UK while accusing US authorities of failing to act.
Today, the world will see Donald Trump have to face these survivors right there in the House gallery and answer for why ambassadors and princes have been arrested in other countries, but here in America, not a single investigation has been announced into the pedophiles and the predators of Epstein's horrific sex trafficking. two people arrested over the kidnapping and alleged murder of Sydney grandfather Chris Bagzarian. US President Donald Trump prepares to outline the agenda for his second term in office and spruik his achievements. Security concerns raised by MPs after the Prime Minister was forced to evacuate his Canberra residence. And inflation steady in January, with pressure remaining on the RBA to hike rates. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Ross Childs. Two men are in custody following police raids in relation to the kidnapping and alleged murder of 85-year-old Sydney grandfather Chris Bagzarian. Mr. Bagzarian was abducted from his North Ryde home on Friday, the 13th of February, in an apparent case of mistaken identity. Reporter Chantal Al-Khoury joins us now from Sydney. Hi Chantal, what can you tell us?
Well, Roz, there was a major development this morning. Police searched two homes in Sydney's northwest, one in Kenhurst and another in Castle Hill, and two people have been arrested, a 29-year-old man and a 24-year-old man, both arrested in relation to the alleged kidnapping and alleged murder of 85-year-old grandfather Chris Bagzarian. Now, we know that they've both been here in Riverstone Police Station, where those inquiries have been continuing. No charges have been laid as of yet. We know yesterday as well that human remains were found near a golf course in Pitt Town in Sydney's northwest, believed by police to be those of Mr. Bagzarian.
And this tragic case appears to be a case of mistaken identity, Chantal.
That's right. Police have maintained from the very early days that they believe this was a case of mistaken identity, that Mr. Bagzarian was not the intended target of his captors. The ABC understands that police believe the intended target was a relative of Sydney businessman Dimitri Stepanian, who lives in the North Ryde area as well. Mr. Stepanian is a convicted armed robber with alleged links to the element.
That was U.S. President Donald Trump delivering his State of the Union address before a joint session of Congress. He opened his speech with a defiant message, saying America is back, bigger, better, richer, stronger than ever before. He highlighted what he called a transformation like no one has seen before. He said inflation is plummeting, incomes are rising. He stressed that, quote, the roaring economy is roaring like never before, and said that America is respected again. He touted his achievements on employment, his big, beautiful bill passing the largest tax cuts in American history, and his signature tariffs. He said almost all countries want to keep to the trade deals they've made with the U.S., calling the Supreme Court's recent ruling disappointing. When it comes to the cost of living and affordability, he highlighted lower gasoline prices and mortgage rates. He lauded his crackdown on crime, defending his deployment of troops to make major cities safe again. On foreign policy, the U.S. leader reiterated his claim that he's ended 8 wars in 10 months. He spoke about America's tensions with Iran, reiterating that the U.S. will never allow Tehran to acquire nuclear weapons and threaten the U.S. or its allies. Simon Marks has been tracking the speech for CNA, and he joins us now from Washington, D.C. Simon, we were expecting a very long speech, and he delivered clearly on that very long speech. Walk us through some of his...
Africa News. The news.
It's a visit that could mark the beginning of more diplomatic relations between France and Madagascar. The president of Madagascar is visiting his French counterpart in Paris. According to the Elysee, discussions will include the provision of humanitarian aid to Madagascar in the wake of the devastating cyclones that battered the island. It comes days after Madagascar's president headed to Russia, where the two firmed up cooperation on defense and energy. The trips have sparked concern among some residents on the island as they question their benefits. It comes amid high tensions between the two countries after France's military helped former President André Joël flee the island. It's a move condemned by human rights groups. Senegal's Prime Minister has revealed legislation that would increase the maximum punishment for same-sex relations to up to 10 years in prison. The legislation also imposes 3 to 7 years in prison for what it describes as anyone who engages in advocacy for same-sex relations. After giving the bill the green light, ministers passed the bill to Parliament last week in the wake of a string of arrests of people accused of same-sex relations. 2 local celebrities and a well-known journalist were among those detained. It comes after religious organisations held protests in recent years to call for stricter penalties. A date for a vote in Parliament has not yet been announced.
The military spokesperson for the M23 rebel group has been killed in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Sources confirm Willie Goma died around 3 a.m. Tuesday in drone strikes attributed to Congolese army allies near Rubaya, a strategic coltan mining hub that produces roughly 15% of the world's supply. Goma had been under European Union sanctions since December 2022 for his role as M23 spokesperson. The killing comes despite ongoing Qatar-mediated ceasefire efforts. Kinshasa and M23 recently signed agreements in Doha to establish a joint monitoring mechanism involving Qatar, United States, and the African Union. Heavy fighting near Rubaya has forced hundreds of families to flee since Sunday. The United Nations peacekeeping mission has deployed an assessment team to Uvira this week to support ceasefire implementation.
A stark warning from the United Nations aid chief. During a visit to a hospital in South Sudan, Tom Fletcher denounced what he referred to as the impact of cuts to aid in the war-torn country.
Assalamu alaikum. Good. So we're in Akobo, not far from the fighting. There's been huge amounts of displacement here, and in this hospital you're seeing the victims of that, survivors of gunshot wounds, a 70-year-old grandmother, a tiny child, Hol, who I hope will survive, but who's lost both his parents and his brothers and sisters.
The majority of the fighting is concentrated in eastern Jonglei State, where, according to the UN, some 280,000 people have been displaced since December.
We've responded to the sudden influx of injured patients that occurred with the recent increase in the fighting.
The war has largely pitted the 2 main ethnic groups against one another. The Dinka, who mostly back President Kerr, and the Nuer, mostly with Machar.
Police in Haiti exchanged gunfire with alleged kidnappers in downtown Port-au-Prince on Monday, marking another violent episode in the capital's relentless security crisis. Witnesses say the group was posing as officers wearing police uniform and driving a government vehicle. Unconfirmed reports indicate 2 policemen and 2 suspected kidnappers were killed. The shootout
returns to Mexican tourist spots this Tuesday night. We're back to normal today, and how airlines are trying to accommodate all the Canadians trying to get home and the people not giving up on their Mexican vacations. Balancing public safety with privacy rights.
The AI developers should have the duty to inform.
The debate over the responsibilities of tech companies. Targeted mounting fears India's government is threatening Canadians and their families as Canada's Prime Minister is about to head to India. Plus, healing the wounds of Russia's war. The Canadian program training Ukrainian doctors.
We wanted to help.
As Russia's invasion enters its 5th year. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Flights in and out of Mexico are now resuming after a wave of drug cartel violence swept across the country following the killing of a notorious drug kingpin on Sunday. Tourists were not targeted and stability appears to be returning, but Global Affairs Canada is still warning travelers the situation remains volatile in some regions. Canadians are advised to avoid non-essential travel to a number of Mexican states, seen here in orange, and to exercise a high degree of caution in others, including some popular tourist destinations such as Puerto Vallarta. Global Skylar Peters is just north of there tonight. Skylar.
Well, Donna, the streets here in Bucerias are really starting to regain some of that vibrancy that we experienced in the days prior to cartel violence breaking out on Sunday morning. Now, we were originally scheduled to leave here on Sunday evening. That flight was canceled, and as recently as last night, the quickest flight for us out of here is going to be next Monday night. But as WestJet and Air Canada opened up more seats for stranded travelers, many will be able to get out of here today and tomorrow.
Welcome back to Live Watch here on France 24. These are our main stories this hour. Donald Trump declares America is back. A record now, so touching on come in last year's heist, which burglars made off with billions of euros worth of jewels in broad daylight. First up, Donald Trump has just wrapped up his State of the Union speech, the first of his second term in the White House. He began and ended with the economy, saying the golden age of America is upon us. This despite affordability issues driving his approval rating to new lows of 36%, according to a recent CNN poll. Immigration also featured highly in his 1 hour and 50-minute address, which smashed the previous State of the Union record of 1 hour 29 minutes by Bill Clinton in 2000. Further abroad, Trump boasted of his successes in Venezuela, Gaza, and other various conflicts he claims to have ended, and had this message for Iran.
They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, in particular nuclear weapons. Yet they continue, starting it all over. We wipe.
Okay, so you have been listening to US President Donald Trump's State of the Union address, the longest ever State of the Union by quite a chunk. He beat Bill Clinton, who previously had the record of 1 hour and 28 minutes. That was in 2000. And Trump has spoken for about 1 minute 47 seconds there. So we spent the first half talking about the success of his presidency and his team there. He definitely did hold back on attacking Democrats. He spoke about the success of the US economy, despite the fact that inflation is currently sitting at about 2.3% in the US. He spoke about there being no inflation. Immigration was also a big topic that was met with quite a lot of resistance from Democrats there. And then he asserted
the strength of America across the Western Hemisphere, talking about the golden age of America. So a lot to unpack there. That was a very long speech, but I'm going to try and bring in our Washington correspondent now, Benjamin Alvarez, who's been following the address closely. Do we have Benjamin there? Hi. Ben, what is your takeaway from that big, long speech there?
You mentioned it, the longest speech, State of the Union in the history of this country, and for many, probably not only watching the live stream, but also being there, it definitely felt like that. A lot to unpack, a lot of domestic topics. You mentioned some of them. He started speaking several times about immigration, about the economy. So basically, his talking points also when he campaigned for the office of the president, something that is quite common during this State of the Unions is that you have one side standing and clapping and the other one actually not standing up. But what's rather remarkable here, and that's something that the US president mentioned a couple of times, is that he addressed it openly. He asked the Democrats who were in the chamber, why are you not standing up? He called them crazy. He said, why are you not clapping? So that's quite remarkable, I'd say. Not that they did not stand up and did not clap when many of the Republican counterparts did that over and over, but that the US president actually mentioned it. After talking for a long time about domestic topics, he finally started on
Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I hope you will come again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.